Hey everybody, welcome back to another episode in which I talk about my drone crash. Now, let me preface this by saying I am not a professional drone pilot. I've only been doing this for about a year or so, and still a lot to learn. I've had a few hard landings, a few near misses, and one previous drone crash where I misjudged the height of a power line, clipped it with a propeller, and did a bit of a corkscrew landing. No damage, everything looked good. Didn't even do anything to the propellers, so considered myself very lucky on that one. But I believe it was Casey Neistat who said, it's not a matter of if you crash your drone, but when you crash your drone. And sure enough, I had a pretty good crash this past Saturday. I am about 95% sure I know why it happened. We'll get into that in a little bit. The drone that I fly is a GoPro Karma. It has served me quite well since I've had it. Have, other than a few issues here and there, mostly that horizon tilt. Beyond that, I haven't really had any big complaints about it. And what I really liked, and the whole reason I bought it, was I was already invested in GoPro cameras and was filming on GoPro cameras. So I was very familiar with them, and I really liked their handheld gimbal setup, and I knew if I got the drone and the gimbal and the camera, it would all be interchangeable and everything would work, and I would have essentially everything that I needed to film to my liking. Let me read to you my official crash report. Yes, I actually have a pilot's log. No, it is not required, but as a very good CYA, cover your you-know-what, I thought it'd be a good idea to have one. So what I generally track is the date and time, location, weather, wind, altitude, as in the drone's maximum altitude, distance, as in the drone's maximum distance from me, the duration, and just some general notes. Now for my official crash report, at approximately 13:20 EST on 2018-05-05, I received a warning message stating the temperature in battery 1 was too high, and that the drone, BAD 40, was landing in place. So this battery temperature too high, I'm almost positive it's because when I packed up my equipment to go fly, I took the battery off of the charger and put it directly into the drone. Usually I just stick it in the case, and then when I'm ready to fly, I stick it in the drone. I think it didn't have enough time to cool off, and that's why it gave me the warning message. Let me continue here. I attempted to cancel the warning, but the drone continued to descend. Yeah, you can't get rid of that warning. As I was over a fenced area with no access, I attempted to move the drone outside the fence line. So where they're doing construction, they had big 6-foot chain link fence, restricted access. I couldn't get in. In my haste to do so, I came close to the northeast corner of the gym at King George Middle School. In other words, the drone was falling. I had no control over the altitude of the drone. I could go left, right, forward, and backwards, and that's what I was doing just to try and get it outside the fence line. Now, I could have had a straight shot and landed relatively safely elsewhere. However, there were too many tall obstacles with fences and lights and the new grandstand seating that they have there. So I really only had one exit point, and that's where I was aiming for. My aim was a little off, and I came a little too close to the school. As I maneuvered east to avoid the building, I went back over the fenced area. In other words, I was out, but because I was too close to the building, I had to go back. I then flew south between the gym and the old vocational building. I cleared the fence with an altitude of about 8 to 10 feet. In other words, I only had about a 2-foot clearance over that fence. I continued to fly forward to the south to ensure I cleared the fence, because it was, looking at it, I wasn't that far away. I could see pretty clearly, but it was kind of an optical illusion, so I wasn't really sure if I was this side of the fence or the other side of the fence. In doing so, my forward progress and lack of altitude control caused the drone to crash into the grass. There were no bystanders or other witnesses, so nobody else around, so I didn't have to worry about hitting anybody. Obviously, I didn't want to hit the building, but in so doing, I took a nosedive. The drone sustained significant damage, and I was close enough I could actually see this happen. One blade was broken in half. 2 blades were chipped. 1 light cover popped off. Pretty sure it was this one here. It just popped off, and I popped it back on. It was no big deal. It still works. And part of the gimbal assembly broke. One of the rear arms was also bent forward and was laying atop the forward arm. So, forward arm was like this. This arm was up and over this front one, so I had to fix that. Upon inspection, the drone appears to be functional. However, the gimbal and 3 blades will need to be replaced. Well, I'm not too worried about the blades. Those are pretty easy to get a hold of. The gimbal, though, costs $250. And it is apparently the single weak point in this setup. Not only is it a weak point for the drone, but also for, obviously, the handheld gimbal, should I want to use that. Without the camera showing as connected through the gimbal on the drone, I can't fly the drone. Also, because the gimbal doesn't work, I can't use a handheld gimbal. So, that part's on order. It'll come in a couple of weeks. But not to worry. So this is the gimbal, and camera sits in here. This part is what broke. See if I can hold that steady. So there's just like over here, there's a cap, but underneath the cap is a electrical or electromechanical piece that controls this movement. Just like this one controls this movement. And when it broke, it snapped this ribbon cable, and I could not find the missing piece. So, it's out of order. But not to worry. I have something new that I'd like to show you. Let me introduce you to Ball. Did you really think I was going to show you? You'll just have to wait and see.